I am so bullish on a semiconductor company called AMD. In 2022, my forecast will be $200 per share, and by 2025, AMD would be at least a $400 share stock. And this today, at the value of 75, it's about 5.3x. So stick with me on this video. I'm going to give you all the information, all the research I've done just for you. Welcome back to Family Investment. My name is Alex Ko, and today I just want to speak about AMD. In the month of March, end of March, AMD has been on a sell-off. Short sellers coming, selling AMD to as low as $75, $74 per share. And last couple of weeks ago, they were at all-time high, about $99, $95 per share. And why have that dropped? And today I want to share my case study with you on why I am so bullish that I bought AMD for the last 3 days. And if AMD will be dropping again next week, I will be buying more AMD. So before I begin on the video, you can always look at the timeline on which segment you want to watch. But if you stick with me from the beginning till the end, I'm going to give you great value. So I'm going to start with real key facts about AMD that you should know. So AMD produces 7 nanometer chips compared to Intel, who's still producing 10 nanometer chips for the graphics card and also CPU processor. Because AMD has dropped as low as $75 per share, they have not increased the share price since 6 months ago, and they've broken the 200-day moving average. This shows that AMD is in a very good value territory. To me, it's severely undervalued. And the next tip is AMD has a really high call percentage, meaning people are trying to call to sell the shares, as high as 64% this week of a 300,000 share volume. Now let's compare AMD versus Intel. And remember Moore's law. That's when I started my university. Moore's law is when every 18 months the number of transistors in a semiconductor chip will double. Intel has always been winning the race for at least last 2 decades. Only recently, the last 2-3 years, AMD has finally surpassed Intel. And how did it surpass? Intel is still stuck at the 10 nanometer. AMD has already surpassed it by producing the 7 nanometer chip. And great thanks to Taiwan Semiconductor, who's helping to outsource and produce the all into Taiwanese factory down to 7 nanometer for both the GPU and also the CPU. Why did AMD fall from the highs of 95? It's all down to one news really. It's all about Intel, because Intel has announced that 20 billion spending on 2 factories in Arizona. And in fact, the factory will be built for at least 18 months to 20 months, or at least 2 years, I would say. And they're only focusing on the 7 nanometer chip, which AMD is already producing today in 2021. So they're a bit behind, and perhaps they might even go to the 5 nanometer chip, but they still haven't got the patent expertise to do so. So they're still in process of building this factory. So people are shorting AMD but transferring over to Intel for future value of 2 years, where we don't even know if this Arizona factory will be a huge success, despite the fact they've got support from Microsoft, Apple, and every other bigger American firm. So I think this is an oversight by investor, and I feel that this is an opportunity to buy AMD. Hence, therefore, I've been buying AMD for the last 3 days solid, and I'll be buying more on the dip because I see such a huge upside. So now let's look at the technical fundamentals and analysis and valuation. So let me start out with the charts here. AMD is a 9.5x multiple, currently standing at the share price of 75. The PE ratio is about 35. Back in December, they were around about 50. The new earnings came out, they beat their earnings and the share price dropped. So they're sitting at 35. Which is as high or lower than the likes of Amazon, Apple, Adobe. So it's doing really well in the PE ratio valuation department. So AMD is really severely undervalued compared to the lot, and it's still growing. So now let me bring up their charts. Okay, let me bring up AMD's chart analysis. So here I've plotted a 50-day and a 200-day moving average. First, I want to show you they've broken the 200-day moving average severely. And then today's standing, you can see a slight morning star that's evolving, potentially a rebound from that point. And also the short-term upside could be around to 85, which is the 50-day moving average, so it looks like short upside, but volatility will still be in play short-term wise between now till the 29th of April, because that will be when the next Q1 earnings comes out to show how well they're doing for the last 3 months. So now let's bring the Fibonacci retracement tool. The Fibonacci retracement tool is very helpful when you're trying to find the resistance and the floor and the ceiling. So if you look at this chart here, which I'm showing you here, so the resistance floor was sitting at 78 and they've broke it today down to 75. So the next floor down is 73 and the resistance there is very, very, very strong after the last Q. And that resistance in fact was a Q3 2020 earnings, which is at least 2 to 3 quarters ago. So a very strong resistance floor there. I doubt that it will break it, but it's now hovering between 73 to 78 and it could go either way. But in short term, like I said previously on the chart on the moving average, we're looking about an $82 to $83 uprise to the next ceiling up. And the question is, when are they going to break the resistance at the $97 earning ceiling? It's going to be down to the Q1 or Q2 earnings. So all I can say is we could be moving sideways for the next few months, 2, 3 or 6 months. So be patient with AMD. Take this as an opportunity to buy on the dip or to buy on the resistance floor level, which I've shown here. It could be at 73, it could be at 78, it could be at 82. For me personally, I'll be saving and buying dollar cost on the monthly basis as #1 priority for AMD. So next, I want to speak about the valuation of AMD. I want to not just value what it is now, I want to value for the whole year of 2021 with the forecast that's been released back in Q4 2020. Growth will be dropping to about 37%. And the forward trailing for the EPS expectation should be around about 2. So it's grown from a 1.3 to 2 based on the 37% growth. And also I've tweaked it slightly because of the interest rate rise, the bond yield rise. I have now changed my bond yield, AAA bonds, to 3.5. You are getting the value of about $204 per share. So what I'm saying is by the end of 2021, the start of 2022, where if they meet the expectation, the share price of AMD should be close enough to $200 stock without the overvalue payout. Alright, now I'm going to show you a couple of charts on how I've done my forecast from 2021 to 2025 onwards and how I came up with this $400 figure as minimum for 2025. So as you can see on the revenue and operating chart here, I've plotted 2021 that it looks like it's going to be growth of 37% as what Lisa Su has provided us, and year on year 22, 23, 24, 25 as well. Onwards after that, I've shown a decreasing type growth. So by 2021, 37.5%, and 2022, because of the super cycle change again, it might go up just slightly above 40% growth and then starts to decline in 23, 24 and 25. So when they decline 25, the growth should be down to about the 30% mark. That's how I've plotted the increased super cycle and then back down again. And as you can see on the revenue, back to the revenue chart, in 2020, we're talking about $10 billion revenue. By following that growth super cycle there, we should be hitting the $20 billion by 2022 and then round about almost just past the $400 billion by 2025. And if you look at the net income, I think with the high expenses in the beginning, it might bring it down in 2021 a bit, but it should be a net high income of a 12 billion. This is my forecast of what I see putting in the linear type range of what we see in a super cycle for 2023, 24 onwards, and then the growth revenue declining. So I'll try to put it as realistic as possible, not just in a straight line. So from this, getting at almost $40 billion per share at the EPS and the growth revenue of 30%, back in 2025, it worked out to be around about $400 to $450 per share. So where we're standing at 75, looking at the next 4 years in 2025, it looks really, really cheap. So we're looking about 5.3x here. That's why I'm so hyped, pumped, excited that this forecast with my own research here, that I see potentially this is where we will end with AMD. But the future looks really, really bright. The demand is soaring despite the fact that 2021 is a shortage of chip because we are recovering from COVID-19. But the future outlook is so bright with the roadmap, as you can see. And it is also similar to nvidia's roadmap. And despite the fact that we have AMD, nvidia, Intel, Apple M1 chip, there's still not enough. Competition is great, and hopefully with all this, companies all putting their heads together to get the global shortage, the global demand going, to get everybody on their feet. And this is where the global growth will kick in And this is where I will enjoy the runs if I'm still holding on to all these great stocks. So I hope you enjoy my thesis today, and please leave a comment below if you agree in 2022 you'll be a $200 stock, and 2025 it'll be a $400 stock. Tell me your point of view, share your research. We want to have a friendly debate where we are, because end of the day we want to try to forecast the future and hopefully do not miss this opportunity for other viewers around us. So thank you very much and take care and have a good time. See you soon in future videos.
I hope you enjoyed that video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Please press the bell button. Ding dong. Finally, watch the recent video up here.